Over the weekend, I received concerning news that I was being sued for $5 million by Kash Patel's girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins. And the reason why might actually shock you. About a couple months ago, I posted this photo on the public social media platform X. I posted it with no caption, no suggestions of any malintent or any slander, defamation, or criticisms of character. I did so attached to an X post shared by another account that I'm not connected to that talked about government agents being compromised. Now Alexis Wilkins is saying that I owe her $5 million for damages, the exact evaluation of my company, and if I cannot come up with that money, that I'm going to have to shut down my business, give up all of my digital assets and my entire voice online in order to pay her back. So why does Kash Patel's girlfriend want to silence me? Well, it comes down to the lawsuit itself. Before anyone jumps to conclusions and says, well, don't say that she's a honeypot, I'd like to say, I never did. I never would. I never felt like suggesting that, never even suggested that in my own head. So why am I being sued for something I never did? To give proof of that, in section 14 of the lawsuit, it states, while the defendant may not have included any caption to spell out the meaning of his post, he didn't have to. Ever since Kash Patel was appointed as director of the FBI in February of 2025, the conspiratorial corners of the internet and social media have been spreading false narratives about Miss Wilkins as an Israeli Mossad agent, spy, or quote, honeypot, who is only in the relationship with Kash Patel to spy on and manipulate the United States government. Defendant's wordless reply, it goes on to say. So to clarify, before we go any further, if you post a public photo of a government official and his romantic partner, who he's not married to, very important fact we'll talk about, you as a private citizen or a member of the press can be bankrupted, have your entire company shut down, or completely mocked, slandered, and dragged through lawfare because of what? Because of your First Amendment protected rights. Now, I believe that this lawsuit is not only an attack on our First Amendment and our constitutional rights given to us by God, but I believe this is also a violation of SLAPP ordinances. This seems to be a proxy lawsuit, if anything, from Kash Patel himself, and I have the evidence to prove it. We'll start here by talking about what is this lawsuit about and why is it so concerning. As I just read in the previous section, Alexis Wilkins states that I never said anything about her being a Mossad agent. So how am I being sued for saying anything about that? Considering I'm being sued for things I didn't say? Yeah, you heard that right. They're suing me for the implications based upon previous posts I had made on my X account, not about Alexis, not about Kash, but about the state of Israel. I take you to section 17 of evidence. Defendant frequently posts anti-Israel rhetoric accusing Israel of controlling the United States and its politicians, in which they share a post that I said Trump doesn't want to admit that Netanyahu doesn't fear him. Israel has more control over the USA than we do over them. Our politicians are hook, line, and sinker, sold out to the Jewish state of regime. It's genuinely disheartening, and we must remove these parasites from AIPAC. They also posted more evidence in the lawsuit, nothing to do with Alexis Wilkins, nothing to do with Kash Patel, and nothing to do with me saying anything about her being a Mossad agent. I never said it, so they don't have evidence. So why is it that they've made the entire lawsuit about my thoughts on the Israeli government? That's highly suspicious. They also posted more evidence where I said my entire feed is just about people glazing Israel and defending the occupation of our nation. It's incredible. It all happened after the forced TikTok sale on behalf of the ADL. I also said you either get Israel-controlled politicians who hate you or foreigners who hate you. Welcome to America. I hate it here. And one of the last posts they put, there's many more that I'll read, is it breaks my heart that Trump could have been if he wasn't a slave to Israel. Tragic. Now, if you're like me and you're wondering, what did I possibly do to receive a lawsuit for $5 million, which they suspiciously got the exact valuation of my intellectual property, that would force me to shut down and apologize and turn over all my assets to the district court, that would require me to turn over communications in discovery, which I'll talk about what we're planning on doing and how we're going to be responding to this. I'm going to tell you, this is a very dangerous precedent for the American people, because the entire evidentiary case they have against me is that I do not support Israel, that I do not believe that Americans are free, that we are occupied by Israel, and that my criticisms of Kash are why this is filed. Now, let's talk about this. I want to clarify these things. I never said anything about Alexis Wilkins, period. She said that I had a wordless reply. Sounds dystopian, doesn't it? She also said I didn't imply anything about her being a Mossad agent. In fact, it says that I just posted a picture of our unmarried head of intelligence in our country, one of the single most important positions in the world, that is dating a girl who we know nothing about. He is not married in a committed relationship by law. That's important. And he's on the dating market. Do you want your FBI director to be on the dating market? I just think it's interesting, whether he's with her or anybody else. It's like, yeah, people can, be susceptible towards whatever's going on. And that's not even why I posted the photo. But, well, people could be. So what would be wrong if somebody even did imply that? I didn't imply it, but it's like, even if they're accusing me of doing what they say I did, is there a crime in just wondering if your intelligence agencies are being led by uncompromised individuals? No, obviously not. Look at James O'Keefe's entire investigative portal. He literally finds unmarried government officials, intelligence operatives from the CIA, and he sets them up on fake dates, uses them to get sensitive information, and then compromises entire departments. It happens all the time. Americans have the right to question if that's happening to anyone in our government. Doesn't matter if they're a private citizen or a public figure like Miss Wilkins, who, by the way, Kash has said is a public figure. He boasts all the time how she's one of the most popular country singers of all time. She's also a PragerU commentator, another organization tied to the IDF and Israeli government, allegedly. Well, I'll tell you this. I want to ask yourself the question here. If the head of the FBI girlfriend is suing a private citizen and a journalist for posting a picture without any inference, based only on the evidence that he criticized a foreign government, we have to ask ourselves, not only is Alexis Wilson foolish, is she stupid? That's my question. How dumb are you that you would file this lawsuit? You're making a mockery of yourself, your own intelligence. You make embarrassing your boyfriend. But most importantly, you're embarrassing the FBI, the United States government, and overall the Trump administration with your foolish attempt to try to intimidate and bully someone from being able to use their First Amendment right. So I ask myself these two questions. Does Kash Patel know about this? Well, if he doesn't, and he doesn't know that his girlfriend is waging million-dollar lawsuits using, according to Max Blumenthal in the Gray Zone, she's using Kash Patel's legal resources, his own law firm. She's using the FBI director's law firm. Now, that's Max Blumenthal's reporting. We'll see if that turns out to be true. Well, if he doesn't, what kind of FBI director doesn't know that his girlfriend is filing frivolous lawsuits against the press for an ungodly amount of money using his attorneys and his name to weaponize the legal system against the journalists and a media company? True. Now, if he does know, this is a proxy lawsuit now by Kash Patel, the FBI director of the USA. And now this is problematic because now you have the most powerful law enforcement agency in the entire country trying to stop private citizens from posting public pictures I guess they don't like. Are we allowing ourselves to do that? Are they allowed to do that? I don't think so. So now, of course, we're on the fence here. If we allow Kash and his girlfriend, who are now obviously, this lawsuit wasn't about her, it entirely deviated from anything about her. It was all about my criticisms of Kash, the way Kash has been under stress, and again, paints me as an anti-Semite. Now, why would they do that? Well, there's only two reasons. Either A, they're trying to make the court think I'm a bad person so that they'll rule in her favor by smearing me and slandering me with unrelated facts, or B, that's what this lawsuit is about. And I believe the latter. They're both true, but the latter. This lawsuit is about silencing critics of Israel. Now, this kind of stuff happens in Australia where they don't have God-given rights. It happens in the UK. But the fact is, well, she might argue, hey, she's a public figure. She's not a government official. But if she's using the director's law firm, this is very serious. This is a proxy lawsuit to bully me, the American people, a small independent media company, into not being able to comment on our elected and appointed government officials, their affairs, and their public life. We are taking this on full force. My company will not be intimidated by government officials, their proxies, or Trump's inner circle. We did not take money from Miriam Adelson, and here at the Rift TV, going to rifttv.com, we are asking you guys to support us in this legal fight because, again, we have been implicated on nothing. We have been accused of nothing. We have been told that we said nothing wrong. We have never been accused of lying. And by any fact, there's nothing in this lawsuit that states that we did anything criminal, libel, or defamatory. All it states, and you can see the documents there at the Gray Zone article linked here, all it states is that we are critical of Israel, and therefore we are endangering her reputation and her husband's or her boyfriend, whatever they are. We don't know what they are. And that is enough to ruin your life. Do you want to live in a country like that? Well, we're striking back legally. We've attained one of the biggest legal teams in the state of Florida in the circuit court who has graciously taken us on. We will be taking legal donations. There is a legal fund below to take on the federal government, which we believe is doing this by proxy. We are filing to dismiss this and pursue further legal discovery. We would like to obtain communications between Kash Patel and his girlfriend to find out if he knew about these lawsuits, to find out if she ever informed him, and to go under discovery and under deposition to find out exactly what went on. Now, she's not just asking for a legal lawsuit. She's asking me to go before a jury. That's very important in a district that's very unfriendly with people who think like me. Calculated? Of course it is. Now, what does this mean for the American people? If you can be sued by Trump's inner circle into financial bankruptcy for protected speech, I would like to say that this lawsuit, if at all even entertained and not dismissed, is an all-out retaliation over free speech in this country, based solely on the predication that I am critical of Israeli influence in our country. I believe these people have overstepped their boundaries as citizens of this country. They've overstepped their legal boundaries as plaintiffs in a lawsuit. And I also believe they have overstepped their boundaries as American representatives and those in such high positions as being romantic partners and directors of the FBI. This is a full-on assault on our First Amendment. And now you might be asking, why me? Why Elijah Schaffer? Well, I'm big enough that they can send a message. You will see this video. But I don't have the bank account of Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, or Candace Owens. I'm just a little guy like you guys trying to make a little bit of a difference, what I can, for my two beautiful sons, my lovely wife, and the rest of my supporters who care about the truth. Now, all the mentions about my criticisms of the Israeli government in the lawsuit, it's completely irrelevant here. And we're still want to know in discovery why they decided to include that as the entirety of the document. It's all about Israel. And they're mentally probably trying to silence anyone who's critical of their regime. Not only would I like to say I will not be retracting any of my criticisms of Israeli occupation of the United States government, but I will continue to criticize our politicians, Kash Patel, and all others who are seeking to undermine our ability to speak freely in this country. Look, you may love Israel and you may hate Israel, and that's irrelevant to me. You may be a Democrat, you may be a Republican. That's important here. If we are not allowed to criticize people, and by the way, I didn't even do that. If we're not even allowed to just openly speak, then we are headed down the path of the United Kingdom. We're just retweeting someone or resharing a post. They're mad about the contents of a post underneath my picture. And don't mention her either. They're mad about what he said. And that's not what I said. So now I can be in trouble for something someone else said online? We really want this as a nation? Suing over a photo with no caption is lawfare meant to intimidate me. But bad news for you guys. The American people don't just go away. We don't just let people like Kash Patels in this country step on us. My family was here before the revolution. We are heritage Americans, Mr. Patel. And with all due respect to your position, your girlfriend is embarrassing the administration, and we're not going to let this slide. This is a bipartisan concern that we all hold together, saying, hey, whether you came last week or you came hundreds of years ago with your family, we are all here in this present moment together. And we're not going to allow this type of slap violation that we believe get in the way like they did to Trump during the Russiagate. I don't know who you're going after. I don't know if I'm the intended target, but you're trying to make me be collateral, and I'm not going to take it. You wanted a fight? You got one, Kash. God bless you and your girlfriend. I want to say, that God protect you and protect you against smears that you've sought to do against me, as you thought to ruin my reputation, damage my credibility, and bankrupt me. Americans do not take government bullying like this lightly, and neither do I. We aren't ones to back down from government intimidation or overreach. I'll see you guys in court.